Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and the second part of this Coca-Cola bottle tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you some helpful tips and tricks to create a nice looking render of your Coca-Cola bottle. As usual, before we start, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's get started. So after the last video you should have something that looks like this model here, and the next step in the video that we're going to take is to actually make the model hollow like a real glass bottle would be, and to put some liquid inside it as well. So to start with, we'll do a sketch on this plane here, and if we slice our view, and if you can make sure you've got the original bottle profile sketch visible there, because if we go to our P tool to project through the geometry, we'll start projecting through the original bottle profile. Make sure you include the base geometry as well as this top piece just here. There we go, and click OK on that. Once you've done that, select everything that you've projected through and change that to construction geometry. Next, if we just go to our offset tool, select all the arcs that you just projected through there. And for the geometry on this side, we're going to offset that 2.5 millimeters. Next, if we do this bit at the bottom here, if we offset that about 4 millimeters. And you'll see there's a gap here at the bottom, so if we just go to our fillet tool, select these two arcs here, and put a 4 millimeter fillet in there. And then again, you'll see that the original offset dimension has disappeared, so if we just put those back in. That should constrain that. Now if we move up to the top here, we just need to put a profile in at the top here, so if we just sketch a line with an arc on the end of it, make sure we make that tangent to this top edge here, connect that end point there, and if we just put a nominal dimension from that point there to the end of this line, we'll put 2 millimeters, give that arc a dimension, and then make that about 8 millimeters long. Next, if we just put an arc coming off this top bit here, because we're going to need to put some blend radii in there, so if we just put this top one in here, give that a dimension of about 30, let's say, and if we put a fillet between these two, 30 millimeters, click OK. You can see that's nicely added that in there. Now all we need to do is just close that loop. So we connect that line just to this bottom arc here. Finish that sketch. Now if we go to our revolve tool, select the profile that we've just created there, and that should select the center axis automatically. You can see that's revolving full 360 and cutting material away, and everything else looks okay there, so we'll click OK. You can see now that that is hollow. We'll just look at that through a section. See, nice and hollow, like a real glass bottle. Now what we need to do is create the liquid to go inside, and for that we can reuse this profile we just used. So if we click revolve, select the profile and your center axis. Instead of join, we're going to click new body and then click OK. Next we need to establish where the liquid will stop in the bottle once it's filled. So to do that we just need to offset a plane from the top here. So if you just drag that down to where you think that should end, so about there maybe, click OK. And all we need to do is split that body. So if we select that liquid, and the splitting tool is that plane that we just created, click OK. And all we need to do is just turn that off visibility, and that's complete. We'll turn that work plane off as well because we don't need that anymore. Now if I put a section view on here, you'll see that the liquid and the glass are pretty much touching there, edge on edge, which is realistic in real life, but for when rendering in 3D this actually needs to overlap a little bit, so the liquid needs to be sitting slightly inside the wall thickness of the glass. So to do that, it's pretty straightforward. All we need to do is just, we'll turn that solid off visibility. If we go to modify, offset face, if we select all these faces here, try that again, go to offset, select all those faces, offset that by about 0.5 millimeters and click OK. And then all we need to do is just put a fillet on the top of this edge here, and then that looks pretty good. Oh, maybe a bit too far. There we go, click OK. Now if I turn that body back on and view the section analysis again, you'll see that's now intersecting with the glass bottle. So turn the cap back on there. Now our model is ready to render. So if we go over to the render tab now, if we turn our origin off and our sketches off visibility because we don't need to see those, you see at the minute we just have a black Coca-Cola bottle, which isn't what we want. So if we first go to scene settings, we'll set the environment up. So the first thing we're going to do is put this sharp highlights environment in. So if you click that and drag it to the scene here, go back to settings, go to position, we'll rotate that round a bit so these lights are sitting very much on the front there. The brightness will change that to about 3,500. That looks fine. And the colour will change that to more of a white, so bring that up here. Click OK. The camera, we'll leave the focal length at 90 and the exposure as it is. We'll add depth of field. So just put that on the centre of your model there. The blur, change that to about 0.1. And then if you click close, that's all we need to do on that. Now what we're going to do is set up the materials for the scene. So if you click on the appearance tab, you'll see at the minute all you've got is this stock steel material. So the first thing we're going to do is apply the material to the glass bottle. So if we go down to the glass section here, go to smooth, and if you select glass clear, just click and drag that onto this solid here. You can see that's put the glass material on there. Next, if we go down to liquid, click on water clear, and if we just drag that onto the liquid body on the inside of the model, which is that one there. And next we need to add a material to the cap, so if you just go down to plastic, and we'll just put an ABS material on there, and that's that. So to start with, we'll come up to water and we'll edit this material because we need to change the colour and a few other bits on it. So firstly, the colour, we'll change these figures here to 40, 6 and 0, which gives that bit of a darker browny reddy colour, which is kind of similar to what Coca-Cola is. The roughness we'll leave at 0. Absorption distance, we'll change that to 65. And then the refractive index, we'll put that at 1.6. And then click done on that. Next, for the cap, we'll go to edit again, change the colour of this to 199021, and then click OK on that. Next, we need to delve a bit deeper into just modifying the glass material. At the minute, it's just got a basic glass texture material all over the bottle, but what we want to do is apply a condensation pattern and texture to the outer surfaces of the bottle, and to do this we're going to have to duplicate this material. So if you right click on the glass material and hit duplicate, then right click on that and edit, and you'll see there's an advanced tab down here. So if you click that, and then there's an option to add a bump pattern. So if you tick that, this is one I've created earlier using Illustrator. All I've basically done is just dotted some circular shapes around on the artboard using a radial gradient going from dark to transparent, which, if you know anything about bump mats, that adds a texture and a depth to the image, and then just exported that from there as a PNG, so it's got transparency, and then obviously importing it into here. So once we've selected that, if we click apply, and then that should be applied to this material now. And what we need to do next is to, instead of applying materials to bodies and components, we need to select faces. And this is a bit of a longer task, but all we need to do is click and drag this material onto each external face. You can see now you can see this texture showing up there on the face there. So I'll fast forward through applying that to all these faces and show you what it looks like when it's finished. So there you'll see that's applied to pretty much all the faces now that we'll see when we render the bottle. And if I just do a quick in-canvas render, we should see what that is beginning to look like. Now you see there that that's started to put that condensation kind of texture on there, which gives it a little bit more realism. So if we stop that in-canvas render there, next what we need to do is put the label on there. All I'm going to do is just drag that plastic material onto there again. If we go into that, edit the material, I think we should make that a little bit more glossy. So if we change the roughness to about 0.2 maybe, click done. Give that a quick render, see what that looks like. There we go, that's starting to look pretty good. So if I stop that in canvas render, next we'll add a decal to this. So it's got the Coca-Cola label on the label area. So if I go to the decal tool, insert from my computer, and if I select this is an image I created earlier, which is basically just the Coca-Cola label in a PNG format, so it's got a transparency to the background. So when I apply it to this face here, all that comes through is the logo, and it's sitting on the red background. So if I just scale this up and position it until I think it looks pretty good, scale that up a bit more. There we go, that looks okay for now. Similarly with the top of the cap here, we'll add that decal to there. Insert from my computer again. Select the same one, select that face. Scale that up a bit. And then click OK once you're happy with that. I think we'll also add the condensation texture to this cap as well. So if we go back to our materials, we'll duplicate this material, because if I apply it to this cap, it's going to also apply it to the label, and I don't want that. So if I just edit this material that I've duplicated, go to advanced again, add a relief, bump pattern, select the condensation image again, and click OK. Then just drag that and apply that there. Let's give that a quick render, see what that looks like. So you'll see that's also added that subtle condensation texture to the top as well. So I'll stop that in canvas render there. Now let's do a quick final render of this to see what it might look like with a final image. So if we, first thing, if we go to scene settings, and on aspect ratio, if we change that to portrait, and then click close, and go to the render tab here. Now there's various settings in here that you can choose. You can either go to custom, where you can select your aspect ratio, your width, your height, all that kind of stuff. you can do it via presets in here, so web presets, mobile presets, or print presets. So if I change that to the web preset, 0.8 megapixel, that's fine. In terms of render quality, I'm going to leave that as final. You could do it as draft if you want to do a quick render to try and gauge what you see might look like, but I'm going to put that as final for this render. For the aspect ratio, I'm going to put that as portrait, and then we'll click render and see what that looks like. That's the final rendered image there, which looks pretty good and could be further improved with a bit more time spent on it. But that's the end of the video today, and that's the end of the Coca-Cola bottle tutorial. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!